A local doctor no longer practicing medicine after he voluntarily surrendered his license.
CBS 46's Melissa Stern found out despite half a dozen complaints against the doctor, he continued to practice for years.
Those are just the complaints we know about, but I'm told there are many more against the Henry County doctor. If the medical board's job is to protect you, the public, are changes needed to ensure patients' voices are heard?
Somebody was touching me inappropriately. I had fingers inside of me.
He molests me.
Sexual assault.
The surgery that he did in the beginning was botched.
Botched surgeries.
How many other people has he told, you're going to be fine, and they ended up not being fine?
Malpractice.
He was supposed to be an OB/GYN, but he's working on cancer.
Operating outside his field of expertise.
I called him a quack at the time.
These are among the complaints about Dr. John Patrick Schilling. That doesn't include the charges he's facing for the unauthorized distribution of drugs.
And I think that there would have been a number of patients who would have avoided injury if the board had acted earlier.
That's according to attorney Susan Witt, who in the 2+ decades she's been practicing law has represented more than 500 clients, often winning cases against doctors long before the state medical board steps in.
I see the board as being more reactive versus proactive.
The medical board is supposed to investigate complaints filed by patients and take action against the doctor's license, depending on the amount of evidence. An anonymous source who used to work for the board says there are thousands of cases, yet there is no organized system to keep track of them and few resources to investigate the complaints. Our source says the process sometimes speeds up when the media comes knocking. The Attorney General's office says it took about 2 weeks to resolve Dr. Schilling's case.
If there are people who are injured or potentially getting injured, then that process needs to be expedited.
The medical board's 2019 annual report shows they were able to investigate or take action on 1,859 complaints last year. The Attorney General's office says they resolved about 1,200 of those complaints. 81 of those cases ended in public sanctions.
I reached out to the medical board. I cried for help in every area and seemed like no one would listen.
Thousands of cases are dropped without any resolution.
It's a serious problem and a flaw in the system.
We have a very detailed malpractice, fraud, and gross negligence complaint brought to the board about Dr. Schilling more than 10 years ago. The investigator at the time told the victim it was the best documented complaint she had ever received. Yet his license was never suspended or revoked. And if it weren't for our investigation, the public might never know about complaints like this one, since Dr. Schilling was allowed to voluntarily surrender his license.
With the number of complaints that have been verified and that there is substantial evidence that would warrant having an immediate suspension of his license, which should have happened long ago.
The Stockbridge doctor's case goes in front of a grand jury next week. Melissa Stern, CBS 46 News.